Right. Oh, I got my notes out of my pocket here. Sorry, I'm trying to delete unnecessary stuff here from my StreamYards. And add more unnecessary stuff. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Okay, well, anyway, Trusty Ape, see Mike Hughes 4. Good to see you. We might have a special guest showing up. Or I might open up the room. Can't really chat on for too long. I signed up for a double tomorrow, so I have to wake up extra early and go do that. All right, so I watched this video on Tom Rabbit's channel this morning, and yeah, pretty well convinced that Darth Dawkins has convinced me I'm an anti-theist. At least in his sense of what theist and atheist means. And yeah, so I want to do a breakdown on that. But yeah, thanks, Darth. Good job. I'm sure that was his objective there. I've been watching addiction stories and sobriety videos. I discovered a new channel called Sober Leon. I found very interesting. I've actually discovered a new few channels along those lines. Hey, what's up, Papa Troy? Good to see you. I was also re-listening to some of Brandon Novak's talks, which I recommended to my therapist, and he had recommended some videos to me. So yeah, so we're going back and forth with that. I guess he's into that type of stuff too. So yeah. Been productive. I was watching some stuff earlier. I had a few opinions on some pieces, but I don't want to review it without having the video up and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, that Darth Dawkins chat with I can't remember the name of the PhD, but yeah, he gets pretty well triggered there. But leading up to that, it's actually his line of reasoning, his argumentation that it drove me to the opposite direction. So yeah, that was fun. Always enjoy mock debating Darth's positions. And it was such a piece of work. Such a piece of work. So I wanted to talk about a little bit about what I was saying about the alpha and the shark and that whole analogy, which kind of went bad. But so I'm in a position. Excuse me. I'm in a position where I'm totally exposed. Generally to the world, people I work with, and there are a lot of people that are kind of uncomfortable with this brutal honesty, transparency I've been trying to maintain. It's kind of always been part of my objective. Even when I was younger, we wanted to kind of remove from society. We always wanted to be transparent about what we did and what we believed, and not not have anything behind closed doors, so to speak. My brother and I, and um, so I've still I've always tried to live that way, and being on YouTube has just gotten more and more advanced, to where I feel like I don't really have any secrets left. Well, I got a couple maybe, but and in my line of work and the way I operate, people have seen me at my best and my worst out there, and some people don't really understand the methodology I use sometimes, which I got from my dear friend, mine and Papa Troy's dear friend Jesse, who passed away last year. Um, I think some of that rubbed off on me. I think having him as a mentor and a teacher and somebody to bounce ideas off of, um, and knowing the way he would react to situations. Um, like when I was playing the shark the other day, I kind of tended to act in a way like he did, which could be, considered um, a little a little intimidating, right? When you play the shark, that's the thing. People don't respect you. They may fear you. They may be intimidated by you, right? But that's not what garners respect. What garners respect is the alpha that I was describing. Somebody that doesn't have to use fear or intimidation. Somebody who you want to obey. Their authority seems to hold sway. Now, granted, there's always going to be people who push back against authority, so sometimes more aggressive tactics can be necessary, right? Just to show mean business. But you know, most of the time, generally, that's not the way that you want to go in any type of law enforcement work or anything like that. So bear that in mind. Um, I was attacked physically at work yesterday. Um, Luckily, the guy wasn't able to strike me, but he tried several times. And he had already been in a fight, from what I gather. The police were already looking for him. And but he did warn me he was going to attack me, and I kind of took him up on his bluff. And then when he did it, I was somewhat caught off guard because I thought he was just bolstering. So always be prepared for that. I had a phone in one hand, so I was like, shit. And the cops were already on scene. Um, I guess he just decided he wanted to throw a few jabs at the guard before he got arrested. So that was the deal with that. And yeah, they asked me if I wanted to press charges. I said no. In all honesty, I kind of ended up feeling bad for the guy. But on the other hand, part of me almost wishes that he would have hit me. Then I could have made my first citizen's arrest. No, no, we don't want that. That's the last resort. It's not something we want to do. But in the back of my mind, the scenario plays out a different way. Blunt honesty is necessary emotion. Yeah, I believe you're right, Mikey. And I think more honesty in the world would solve a lot of our problems. But most people don't function that way. Most people hold their secrets very dearly, and some of those secrets are things that I'd consider to be totally mundane. But they're like, "Don't tell anybody." Like, yeah, okay, okay, I won't tell. Uh, so yeah, I try to hold other people's anonymity as sacredly as possible. Because as the old saying goes, loose lips sink ships. And, when you expose too much of yourself or the people around you, you're exposed to more risks. You're exposed to more scrutiny, more judgment. And so which is why I've tried to become more careful about my storytelling here, because I know people in my life have heard me talk about them on YouTube, and it affects them, and they feel offended, or they feel like people are passing judgment on them, and I try to say, well, it's not about that. I'm telling my story, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, certain sensitive subjects, for people who are still in my life, and still pay attention to this type of stuff, um, it does negatively impact them. So I have to take that into account. Um, that's how most people operate. Yeah, secrets can eat people up from the inside. It's absolutely true. And I think that's what happens. And I think that's why a lot of people, um, there's a saying in sobriety and like the AANA circles where they call it pulling someone's covers, where you know somebody has a guarded secret, and you make a point to call them out on it, generally in front of a group, so that now all these people know this person's you know business, when it was something that was probably you found out, um, or were told in confidence, and so that's um, that's something that's well accepted in those circles, but I think in many spheres in society is something that might get one ostracized, um, and that's people's real fear is being ostracized from their group. At least that's what I think. Some people don't have such a fear of that. They're just able to kind of move from space to space, and oh well, I'll make new friends and all of that stuff. Oh, good to see you back, Mikey. But I've always been about maintaining loyalties. Like when I moved down to Sacramento from Redding, I continued traveling up there for until my friend died. What was it, 2 3 years later, um, and continued traveling up there to do rehearsals. And just like I've tried to maintain with my band up in Sacramento now that I'm in the Bay Area, and try to continue traveling up there to do those rehearsals. Um, because it's well, quite frankly, it's difficult for me to redevelop those connections, and I feel a sense of obligation for um, to those people and to all the work that we've put in collectively. And it's not something that I think geographic location should inhibit. I get as much as it's realistic to continue going on that path. But as Papa Troy and I were talking about uh, last night, there comes a point where it seems to be that one individual is putting in most of the effort, most of the time, and there's not a lot of return coming out of it. And so that's something to consider and trying to be realistic. So I've had to put off, all of my rehearsals for the last couple of months with both of my bands, and only last week did I finally get to go and play again, and I wasn't able to play this week because it wasn't financially possible. Uh, so so this coming week I'll probably have the finances to do it again, but I also have another obligation to attend to get some uh, court paperwork filed. So, and that's kind of the pressing issue. So that's going to have to take precedent, and then play will come later if I have time. And hey, pop culture curator, Hale, hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you. Yeah, so it's been hard to kind of manage that, and but I'm fortunate in that despite all of my dirty business, I've never been really like ostracized like that, and I've always been valued for well, for me, but also for my skills, for my talents in the music world. And so I think a lot of bands have kind of hung on to me for that reason, because I write the fucking songs. I'm sorry, but most of the time it's been me. So I mean, everybody contributes, but you got to have a primary songwriter, and that tends to be me. But for the last couple of years, I've been experiencing a pretty good bout of writer's block in all areas of my creativity, and that's kind of been an issue. Um, so it's been a slow going process, and the only band that I'm really creating new music with, or was creating new music with, up until the hiatus, was the Trusty Apes, and so we still have unreleased work, and unfinished business. And so at some point, I want to finish that business. Uh, Papa Troy says, depending on the situation, because if you did file citizen's arrest, there's a lot of paperwork involved. HOA slapped the homeowner fines for the assault, and then they move. When I was assaulted on HOA property, I was asked if I wanted to file charges. There's lots of papers involved. He slapped the homeowner with fines, so karma's a bitch. Yeah. In this guy's case, he was already going to jail for another assault and for menacing and disturbing the peace and some other stuff. So I was like, okay, this guy's already going in. So I'm going to get him for like an attempted assault on me. Yeah. And when it came down to it, the transit authority, that was my suggestion. Well, they should be the ones putting the restraining order on him, right? Because whether I'm here or not, this guy still comes through causing problems all the time. But they refuse to do that. So, and it's a lengthy process for them to do so. But that's the thing, because it occurred in public, not on private property, and there were many witnesses, many cameras. It's what do you call that? Yeah. Anyway, it was he was disturbing the peace. Yeah. So that was kind of grounds enough. But when I said I wasn't going to file charges, the look on the cop's face was like she was disappointed and she was mad. Like, she wanted to slap that guy with as much as she could. So I don't know what else he did before he got there, but it must have been pretty bad. But again, I still feel a little bit of pity for the guy. So I don't know. That was my mind. I kind of second guessed it afterwards, but I don't think you can change your mind about that type of stuff. I'm not sure. I kind of just decided it wasn't really worth pursuing. But if he comes back, then that might be a different story. Things we have to be concerned with. It's just an ordinary afternoon, evening rather, and yeah, all of a sudden this guy wanders in out of nowhere. Running his mouth off, scaring my passengers. That was the main thing. And I told him, I said, you're out here scaring people. And he said, oh, well, I'm scaring you. I said, no, dude, I'm not scared of you. But all these people over here, they're scared of you. You're out here bleeding and cussing and throwing a tantrum. And he's a pretty big guy, He wasn't a small dude. He's bigger than me. Smoke this roach. I haven't had any weed all day. It's just a little bit, but it does you after you've been sober all day, Musicians like myself. Oh, and I'm not sure if my name is Kevin. Just I don't know if you remember, because I change my screen name quite frequently, but I'm a Kevin. But yes, thank you, Daniel-san, or you'd be like Mr. Miyagi. I don't mind though. Like I always say, you can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me, late for supper or whatever. Call me Susie. It's no big deal, man. I was wondering about that earlier. I was like, is there somebody named Daniel in the side chat? I was like, oop. It's all good, Mike. Yeah, you can find my music at Kevin Lentini Music. It's yeah, it's probably you can spell it out or something. I did have a link earlier I posted in Cryptomaria's side chat. She finally gave me wrench, but yeah, now I just have this link. So give me a second. If anybody wants to join for a few, that'd be cool. If not, I can ramble on for a few more and get my happy butt to bed. We are broadcasting, simulcasting on YouTube and Facebook tonight. I haven't done a Facebook in a while, so I've got it up on both. Right, Daniel's Hot Topics. That's who I was thinking of. I was like, is he in there? Because we were chatting last night together, I believe, right? Yeah. Or was that this morning? Shit, now my timeline's all fucked up. Oh, excuse me. Messed up. It's kind of messed up.
Hey,
Hey, Mikey, good to see you. How you doing?
good, Kevin. Kevin, how are you?
I'm all right.
Good, man.
I'm
Good.
feeling positive.
Awesome. I was sorry to hear about that situation you had with that guy.
Oh, you didn't get the end of it in the stream yet, or?
Uh, Probably not. I mean, I think I understand. But I don't know what I would have done in that situation, especially if the guy's much bigger than me. Uh, I did have a situation in my building here. Uh, there was this guy, right, and we were waiting in line for a meal, something that we were doing in our building here, because we're both on fixed budgets. And uh, this one guy who, wasn't wearing a shirt first, some people were telling him to put a shirt on. He would refuse, Then he started making comments about my wife, and I said, "Look, dude, seriously, you don't want to go there." I said, "Just back off." And then he pulls a knife, and I'm like, it's like that situation where, you have a knife, but somebody else has a gun. So in my case, he had a knife that my wife could see, but I couldn't quite see it, and I had nothing. And I wanted to beat this guy up because he was dissing my wife. He was giving her a hard time. But then, luckily a couple people stepped in. There was a security guard that caught him and told him to back off and get out, call the cops. So we never saw the guy again. But you
Right.
know, it's scary. It's scary because you're in a situation like that, and you want your adrenaline to kick in, and then at the point of that, where it's like it's spiking, and then you're ready to do something, and in most cases, it's not the right thing to do. And luckily, my wife stepped in, and like I said, then some other guys took him out, and just got him out of there without any problems. But I just don't like people that do that, to offend people. Uh, it's hard, and I wish I'd been in more shape. you know, at the time,
I hear you.
I'm not a strong person, bodily wise or physically. Um, actually, most of my life, I've been able to talk myself out of situations. Um, it's not easy, but if people know that you're serious and you can back it up, you know, then then that's what you do. You just gotta be able to defend yourself somehow.
Yeah.
And, and control my wife. Hey, Suzanne, say yeah, she's wonderful.
Got you. You cut out for a second there for me. I
Yeah,
don't know if it was just
yes.
me. Um,
We're all.
so okay.
Oh no.
I want to say hi
Oh no,
to
no.
Lemon Pie. Yeah, I missed the last.
Uh try someone situ. I'm sorry. Oh hey, how you doing, lemon pie?
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, as I said in their line there. Oh, thank you, babe. As I said in a line there earlier in the chat, I always got Daniel's hot topics. We had our discussions and streams I was doing on mine, and I got his name
Yeah.
confused with you. So I assumed there were just two Daniels. So I'm not sure how I could get Daniel confused with Kevin. I'm sorry, buddy. I really am. And you've been there for my
Oh no,
streams ever since the beginning, so I really appreciate that.
it is all good.
Yeah. Uh, Lemon says, "Hey, Pop, I'll be praying for you tonight and tomorrow." Yes, Pop, you might be going through that procedure. So believe me, Kevin and I will be praying for you as well. I
Yeah,
hope you
I'm
get
really
through that
keeping you in my
okay.
thoughts, man.
Yeah. deep thoughts with you.
I
Absolutely. Yeah. Were you there for Pop's fundraiser the other day? They had like a 7 hour and a plus stream.
on Jill's channel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, I
no,
was there
not.
for a while.
Oh yeah. Okay. No, I mean, but then the other day it was on Jedi Bills on
Oh
Bill's
no, I
channel.
didn't catch that one. I didn't know about that one.
Oh, check it out. It's a funny stream. It had everybody there. There was Jill. There was Bill. There was LDG. Pop, of course, was there. Uh, I talked to Jill earlier yesterday, or in the middle of the morning. She sent me a. She came by my chat. I had a small little chat going because I got to. I got to wait till the end of the month before I can do another stream. It's something to do with StreamYards. You know, they have when you have a free account, because I know somebody told me it was like $25 a month, and so right now we're just on a fixed budget. We really can't afford that. We've already got a few bills we pay each month anyway. But
Got you.
you know, but I told her, I said, look, I will try to attend people's uh, I'll still continue to try to attend people's streams the best I can. But as for myself, I have to watch. I have to be careful putting out another stream at least until the end of the month.
Or I've seen a
Um,
lot of people who do open rooms. They'll when they have the free accounts, and they'll kind of rotate people in and out of the room because you can always just, have one person leave and then another person enters. You can have more voices on, and
yeah, that's true. Well, the last time I checked it, you were there for my stream earlier yesterday, right? Yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, we were there for a couple hours and stuff. And I ended with Jay, my friend Jay Aldrich. He left, but he was there though, also in the panel. We just talked about anything, pretty much, just about anything. But yeah, I told him. I said, "Look, I found out from Gorillas that when you go into other people's streams, it doesn't count against you. I guess I wasn't kind of aware of that, but now I am, so that's good. That's good to know.
Oh
Um,
no, that's how I try to do it. I try to always mix it up, and like uh, I had Godless Sewing on the other night, and then I went over to Godless Sewing's channel, and then like anybody, if they're hosting an open room, then it's kind of a back and forth there.
yeah, which is kind
For
of
me at
cool.
least, I find it much more enriching.
And somebody was telling me in my stream, uh, there's this guy. His name is Dadman Walking 55. I don't know if you've seen any of his travel shorts, his videos he does. To him, he's been all over the United States. So yeah, so
Yeah,
I
I'm
just
subscribed to different
you
channels.
know, and I called him. I said, "Look, dude, can I call you the lurker?" Whoops. Yeah,
We might have a little
I
bit of a
heard you go
time lag
robotic
going
there
on
for a
there.
minute.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a time
No,
delay.
no, no worries.
Um, no, I was just saying that I'm subscribed to a couple of channels like that. It's like foraging and adventuring. Another band member of mine does a channel called The Quest for Details. That's just gotten pretty big, and he does everything from metal detecting to rock hounding. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I discovered another channel. It was a couple days ago. His he looks like a he looks like a kind of cool, hillbilly type. All these friends that are part of their stream, his stream, and their panelists, and they just talk about anything off the cuff. Now, I'm not saying he's not a cool dude. A cool dude, he is, but I just, I don't know. He's allowed me in there a few times because he's like he feels, he's got to have another guy to fall back on. If all these women start to gain up on him or something. And I'm like, look, I'm married, ladies. Please don't gang up on Dolly. Okay, Dolly's cool. Just allow him to run his stream and you know be cool and whatever. And I don't know. Some of them were starting to bat their eyes at me. I'm like, wait a second, don't do that. Please don't do that. I'm saying that to myself because I love my wife. That's all that matters.
Oh yeah,
I
once you
love
get a
her to
good
death.
troll crowd going, they know how to work up a storm. I'll tell you what.
Oh, absolutely. What
There's
did
a
Troy?
few
What?
streamers that I watch that they that's all they do is troll, and their audience is trolls. So they'll make a point to target certain individuals for their own entertainment, and it's I'll admit it's fun to watch, but you really do feel bad for those people when you think about it.
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, like I said, Dadman likes to lurk. He says he's a lurker, of course, when he's at work and stuff. I think Gorillas enjoys it too, but I do love Gorillas and Resolute Germs streams. There are things that they do on Sunday night when they do the watch party is hilarious. We're trying to get back to Gorilla because apparently this guy, uh, I know his real name in Facebook, but I don't want to reveal it if that's cool. I just call him Gorilla. But my brother Gorilla likes to admit that he doesn't watch a lot of movies and he hasn't seen a lot of movies. And I I told him one night, I said, dude, seriously, did you just come out of a cave? Because I was under the impression that you uh, knew some stuff. And he says, oh no no, he says my cave's real deep. So I was like, wow, okay. So Resolute Germ and I are trying to buddy up to help him out. Say, look, we'll start playing these films for you. You've never seen before in his life. Up to now, he had never seen the first two Indiana Jones films. The Doom and the other one, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And now he's
Right, right.
finally like seeing them. Hi, Papa Troy. Welcome.
Hey, buddy.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you good. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I should be really asking you, gentlemen, though, do you hear me okay? Because like I said, I have Wi-Fi and it tends to go out sometimes. So,
I think we're both on mobile data, so we're all just playing with fire here.
Well,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
and I might have to jump out of here because I'm still working, so I got to use my phone for data.
Yeah, Papa Troy is out patrolling the neighborhood over there.
oh, you're awesome. Yeah, what is it? What was the last thing you said there? I just wanted to read that real quick.
Need to carry pepper spray, taser, and a body cam at all times at the line of work that we do. All this stuff is legal to carry. Yeah, so we're both in private security, but we work out in public. So we're very much exposed to a lot of risk out there.
That's true. Oh, hello.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
I'm agreeing with you. I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, I still appreciate the job that you guys do. I
Thank you, Mike.
appreciate you guys doing what you do. Yeah, I mean, I put you right up there with cleaning and firefighters and local responders, everything like that. I've got a cousin that is a fire chief. When we had the wildfires going up here in Ontario and all throughout Canada, I don't know if he was called to have some of his guys come up here and fight them, but they were still going on when the smoke went down to New York City. And I was. Do you guys know? Well, I think I mean, Kevin might know Admiral Teague, Teag. I think you might be
no,
familiar
I
with him.
don't.
No, I
Oh,
don't.
okay. Oh, okay.
Uh,
Well, sorry. Go ahead.
was that maybe you just yeah, let us know. I feel like it rings a bell, but you tell me.
Oh, okay. Well, Admiral Teague did a couple of films for Memorial Day, and I attended one of them. It was that a movie with the John Wayne called The Green Berets. It had the guy that was in the original series of Star Trek that played Sulu, George Takai. I thought
Right.
that was cool. Yeah. So that was a great film, and I was there for his stream on that. And then the next one he did was the 1987 Vietnam film, Full Metal Jacket, that was directed by Stanley Kubrick. And we
Oh, it's one
actually
of my
walked.
favorites. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's one of my all-time favorites. It's right up there with Platoon and Apocalypse Now. Those are my top three. Yeah, so we were watching it, and we got some people in the chat. We were talking, and then it's like or the train just ran off the rails, and we were there together talking about it for over 4.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like telling him, Admiral, I said, I've never been this long with someone, but you know so much. And he says, well, Mikey, I was really pleased to have you here because I don't think I could have got through this whole thing by myself. And I said, no, that's cool. The first time I saw Full Metal Jacket, I was like blown away. And every time like I see it, or even just parts of it that they show on YouTube, not the whole movie, obviously, but like different segments, and you just get that emotion again, like raw emotion, like you're just blown away completely by it. I get that every time. Same thing with Platoon and, like I said, Apocalypse Now. Right now, my wife and I, own Platoon, but we don't own the other two, and I definitely want to get them because I think they're great Vietnam films, and they show a lot of the true brutality that you know the sheer force, like what happened. Um, One of my friends that was over in Afghanistan, uh, he said that it was uh, Platoon that inspired him. So I was like, that's cool. So, and he did a
Yeah,
couple.
yeah. I think my buddy who is currently just still enlisted. Uh, he's actually a ranking officer now. He would probably say the same thing.
Yeah. Well, that was in the middle '80s, and a lot of us were inspired. I know for myself, um, when I mentioned before, in 1985, I wanted to try out for the Navy, and trying out and really being seriously dedicated to making it are two different things. I found that out. But fortunately, they said that you'll get an honorable discharge, and we're sorry that you know that you thought you wasted your time. I said no, I didn't waste my time. I just realized I wasn't ready. That's all. And I did later on. This was nice. Later on, I went to Hawaii with my folks. We did two trips, and on the first trip, we went to go see the USS Arizona Memorial, and there was a retired naval rear admiral who was there signing autographs. He had a book that he had put out based on the Pacific War side of it, World War II. And I got the book and had him sign it for me. And I told him I, did a 1 month stint in the naval, in the U.S. Navy, but I didn't quite make it. He says, "Don't worry about that, son." I felt old then, or young, depending on what you think. But he said, "Don't worry about that, son." He says, "You made an effort, you tried, and that's all that anybody can ask of you. And if you tell someone that you're a veteran, you're not wrong. You're in the Navy, you tried." So I said, "Well, great, yeah." I mean, I never got a chance to, go anywhere. I mean, I stayed in Florida, is where we trained at. It was a place in Altamont Springs. That was the name of the town. It was near Orlando. And I just remembered that if I had made it, the first place they would have sent me would have been Pensacola, Florida, at the Naval Yard. That's where I would have got my assignment. So I would have been land based, I think, for a little while. And then if they needed me to go out in the water or whatever to carrier or or a regular destroyer or whatever is available, they would send me there. But that's where I was going to end up first, was land based, doing office work and stuff, which is not bad, but Still, uh, I would have preferred being with the other sailors and stuff, but it wasn't meant to be. That's how it was.
Yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. I don't think we didn't have a lot of naval engagement going on back in the mid '80s, did we? That's what I can really think of.
Not really. Like I said, this was in 1985, so there really wasn't anything much going on. That's why I said it. They would have had me do paperwork, for naval officers. I had actually been promoted. I was a gopher, a messenger, and I was hired, or I was promoted to help our fellow shipmates attend important functions. Like a lot of the kids that they got, well, not me, of course, but some of the other in my barracks needed the dental work done. So I was promoted to an E2 and was told to bring these guys, you know, uh, escort them in a way over to the dental office so that they could get their teeth done and everything. And then, I was after I got them there, I was told, "You're relieved. You don't have to worry about them. We'll get them back to their barracks." I said, "Okay." So I did that for a couple times. But like I said, I wasn't prepared. I mean, I was physically great. I was in great shape. But when it came to, I don't know. I guess I couldn't really, I couldn't take ordering around. I guess I wanted to be able to help, but I didn't need somebody to bark at me 24/7. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very stressful environment.
It is, and well, it was back then. I don't know what it's like right now, but I've watched a few videos, about naval basic training, and it seems like it's a little bit harder than when I tried to get through. I know the army one is really difficult, and I know, excuse me, and I know that the Marines is absolutely difficult. I don't know about the Air Force, but the Marine one is the baddest, they say. So yeah, I don't feel so bad. I like it's like the Rear Admiral said. I tried my best. I did what I could for my country at that point in time, and even though it didn't work out, I still consider myself being a veteran of the U.S. Navy. So, and and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I did my part, even if it was for a small amount of time. So, so that's why I admire what you and Troy do, uh,
Yeah,
doing what you
Papa
do,
Troy, I don't know.
doing private security.
Did you ever serve? I don't know if you can come on, but oh,
I'm right here.
yeah, did you ever serve in the military? I've never heard you talk about.
Well, I did, but I got pretty much had a hands-on combat that didn't go very well.
Okay,
Yeah, and they
Oh
kind of
no,
put me at dishonorable.
gotcha.
It was
they
only
put you on
training, and
dishonorable.
well, yeah, because I guess
Oh wow,
because they went into what's called an investigation, and it was a total accident freak, but they just kind of covered their own asses, I think, and I just accepted it because I was really new, and I was like it was a good friend of mine, and he got
wow.
injured really bad.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Well, I had
and
this
it's
one.
this.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It's just when I was still like maybe in my like early 20s or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, when I tried, I was 19 years old going in. It was during the summer of '85 that I went in. It was at the beginning of June, and I went through pretty much the entire month of June, almost to the end, and then that's when they let me go and gave me my honorable. But one sad story that came out of it was I made friends with this one guy as we were going through the process, of being released from naval service. This guy had gone through basic training. He had got through all the tests He passed all of his written exams and stuff with flying colors. This guy was ready. He was ready to go. And on the last day, he gets up to the bus, and that's going to take him to his next assignment, and he gets turned away, and they rushed him into the office, and they found out that he joined the Navy under false pretenses. I don't quite remember why the reason was that he got turned away, but he said it was under false pretenses. And next thing you know, he's out on his butt. He's going out of the Navy, being booted out with no rhyme or reason. You know, that's really
I,
despicable going through
I would
that.
think that would be something like either he would have had to have lied about his health or his medical record, lied about his age, or had a criminal record.
Well, I know he didn't have a criminal record, and I know for certain that he, uh, to some degree, was very healthy. But I think maybe, yeah, Kevin, you might be right. I think he might have lied about a previous injury or something that he suffered. But he got through it, and then he went through all the training without records and made sure he was clean. And when they did that, they found his prior injury, and that's why he got turned away. I felt so bad for him. I couldn't even express how how disappointed I was in the Navy that they waited all that time until the last minute. Even after he graduated, from basic training, and then they turned him away and said, "Nope, you're not joining. Nope." Like it's just, I don't know. He just looked like total. He was in total shock, total denial, heartbroken. He even told me, he says, "I don't know what to say to my dad. What do I say to him and my family when I get back? They were there for me. They saw me, graduate and everything. And now I got to tell them I can't do it. Like, they won't let me continue." Yeah, I didn't know what to say to him. I was I was sad enough for myself because, uh, that I couldn't handle the mental stress of it. I thought, I couldn't handle orders, and eventually, and that's why I left. But like I said, I got honorable. I don't know if he got honorable. I think he got dishonorable because of his lying on his application
Right.
when he went in. So yeah, but I felt bad because I told him, I said, "Look, I know yours is a very bad situation, but I have to tell my dad, who has no idea that I'm coming home, that that I'm no longer there." And then to make matters worse, I got the paycheck I earned for the 4 weeks I was there, and I lost most of it because somebody who we didn't trust or who we didn't know, and at the time yet, broke into our motel room and stole the rest of our money. And the only thing I had left was the airplane ticket to go home. I had no money else on me, just the airplane ticket. I'm surprised they even left us with that, and that was just crazy. So
I I feel like there's a mentality in the army that it seems backwards, right? But I've heard this from a few different people that um, when they're looking at people who are going through basic, when they see somebody who is struggling, they
yeah,
will actually go after that person harder to try to make them fail. Like that's their mentality. Either that or you just buck up and get stronger. Like they don't there's no positive reinforcement. Well, maybe a little bit more now, but historically that's not the way they ever work. They're always like, nope, deal with it every time. And
yeah,
that's how they try to pick the strongest soldiers, but I think you could still have,
They're just trying to break you down.
yeah.
Sorry for the interruption there. I just had to put the phone microphone on mute for it won't be so noisy on my end.
Yeah, you're good, man. I know I got a bunch of background noise
no,
over
you're
here. I'm
good.
in the echoey chamber.
Yeah, so Kevin, in regards to your bands, uh, is there a future gig that's coming up for you, or I know you said you were working doubles for your security job, but as far as their band mates and so forth, you got any future gigs coming up?
No, I wish. Me and Papa Troy were talking about that last night too. Um, there's just like right now we can't even rehearse on a regular basis, so it's like I'm not gonna book any gigs. Of course, the guys keep pressuring me, but I'm like, I can't commit to that right now. The best I've been thinking is we've got a couple new songs, and we've done some live on Facebook videos before, maybe a couple live on YouTube videos. Usually I pre-record them, but I wanted to. StreamYard's not good enough, but I wanted to try to figure out a way to like live stream us playing at least from our rehearsal space, um, one of our new tunes or something, just to stay out there because we haven't released anything in a few months.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Do you have a webcam?
I do not. I don't. I think
Oh,
my drummer might have one. I'm not. I'm
oh,
not sure about that.
oh. Okay. Well, if your drummer has one, see if you can hook up with him and see if there's a way that you guys can use a webcam because uh, on some nights, like you've seen, I can do a webcam live stream just on YouTube itself. I go into the YouTube studio and set that up.
Well, the
So I have
problem with
something
us
to do.
is because we're a rock band. Like when we live stream through StreamYard, because I've tried it before, the audio is not quality, and then it's out of sync with the video usually, and the video gets really grainy because I think it's trying to keep up with the audio or something. So I'm like, okay, so that's why I'm not sure how to navigate that one.
Well, ask your ask your drummer if he knows how to operate his webcam. You may be able to do just webcam videos, outside and so forth. Or if you're in the where do you guys usually practice? Where do you usually
Oh,
practice?
in his living room. Yeah,
Living
our all our gear's always set up in his living room. Yeah.
room. Oh, okay. So if he has a stand, a camera stand, or yeah. Oh, sorry, I know I'm breaking up. Sorry. Um, yeah, if he has a camera, you guys rehearse, and then you can, after you've written, a couple songs and you want to practice them, and you want to show some people on YouTube, you can go ahead and do that with the cam set up in his room there in the living room.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to put
You just
something
have
up
to
here
figure out a
soon.
way to tie it in. Yeah. If you need my help, I can guide you how to just to let you know where to set it up in the middle of the room and everything. And all you have to do is just test your audio, uh, which should come out naturally from your band and the music and everything. And then just make sure that what you can do is you can take a webcam. Somebody told me you can take a webcam, set it up for a certain amount of time, and put a timer on it. So then while you're practicing, playing for people, on YouTube or on Facebook, and then when that thing is ready to, time out, then when it does, you'll have a complete video record. Then that way, make sure it's recording also.
Right.
Well, sometimes you got to have the room.
Yeah.
The way the room is set up, it's like there's no way for the sound to just kind of bounce all over the place.
Yeah, yeah, or having a perfect microphone setup, I think, is kind of the key there. Um, yeah, Papa Troy's done some live video of us too,
Yeah.
and some
Definitely.
recordings. So he knows our setup. It's like, but we really do need to do some rearranging, I think, in the studio right now. So
Can't you use the garage?
no, see, that's I guess because the neighbors can hear too much. They said so. They told us not to use the garage, so we're gonna do that. But no,
Uh,
Yeah. The garage has a my. I have a sister who lives over in Long Beach area, and they have a couple neighbors that are really rowdy when it comes to music, and they play out of the garage, and that's just terrible reverb. It's so loud, and they do it at
That's
the middle of the night, and it's just yeah, it's just wrong. I mean,
Yeah,
it
and we
just
live
feels
in,
terrible.
well, or we lived. He lives in a. I used to live there, but he lives in like the back end of a court, so it's echoing all through the court.
parents lives there too, and or next door.
All right, let's not give away the geographic location here.
Wow. Yeah. Um, yeah. It's not. Yeah. Garages are not the best for like I said, for echo, uh, concentration, and especially reverb is terrible. If somebody hits a wrong note, you're going to hear that note all the way down the street. I guarantee you. Even if the garage is open or closed, it doesn't matter. You
Yeah, I
can
don't think
hear it.
that's the biggest concern. I mean, the neighborhood is a lot of older people, including as Troy said, or drummer's parents. Who his dad's a musician, so he's down to earth, but he's like a jazz musician. So
Oh,
he's like,
sure.
okay, I get it. You guys play heavy rock, but you're in a neighborhood full of a bunch of old people that don't want to hear that shit, and
And how do you answer to that, right? I mean, what do you say to the seniors that are in that neighborhood? It's like, I'm
we
sorry, you
yeah.
know, I'm sorry. We play hard rock. What do you want us to do?
You're
Play
not
little,
talking about hard rock. We're calling about acid rock. What are you talking about?
acid rock.
I'm talking about when you're talking about hard rock. I'm talking about like the '80s and your stuff with like Journey. No, a lot harder than that. A lot
Oh,
harder
okay.
than Poison and ACDC. Harder than that.
Wow. That is hard. That's
And it's really
almost
good. I mean, they're really good at it.
yeah. Is that like a metal? It's like a metal kind of music.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we blend a bit of punk, a bit of metal, and the classic rock element. So I like this. There was a genre in the '90s they started. There's still some bands that call it stoner rock, but it's a bit trudgier. I like high end distortion. We all
Yeah.
have our little quirks, and we kind of like when it blends together well. It's pretty eclectic, I think.
especially when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, my excuse me. One of my relatives. I don't know if I mentioned this to Kevin before, but one of my relatives is on my father's side of the family is Alice Cooper. His real name is Vincent Fernier, and our last name Susanna is Fournier, and he's yeah, so he's related to us. I like to say that I'm related to a goth rocker.
I'd love to see that
Sound
the
like
like the
a drink.
genealogy, like the 23andMe, or what is it? Yeah, where you like find the family tree between you and Alice Cooper. That'd be great.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Well, he was born in Detroit, in Michigan, and I found out through some research, that he is, also related to Native Americans in his family. In fact, I think he said that one of his ancestors was a fur trader to natives there in Detroit area when it was back as being just Indians, or excuse me, natives living in the area. So his ancestry goes back. What I found out on mine is that one of my fur trader ancestors, uh, not much dissimilar from his, actually fell in love with an Iroquois squaw, and there was a traced lineage what I saw, where one branch of my father's family, way back past his dad, and his dad, there was like three generations back, and
Hmm.
and the two of them were together, and they bore a son, and they continued the lineage through that union. So I figured out I must have came from the Iroquois, and I'm about approximately one quarter Iroquois, which is fascinating since when my parents got married, I ended up becoming French and German because my mother was German and my dad was French. So French, German, and Iroquois, but also
Yeah, there was a
some
very big
Scottish.
connection between the French and the native tribes.
Yes,
I believe
absolutely.
certain native
Yeah,
tribes.
yeah. That's why I said I can speak for myself. Um, you know, Iroquois is what I found, but for Alice, his was a different tribe entirely. I wish I knew what it was. I'd have to look that up again, but yeah, I came across him once or twice. Um, I've been married twice, so my first ex-wife actually was working for McDonald's, and Alice came in with his kids. He has four children, and they came in together, and a couple were playing on the playground, indoor playground there, and he was ordering food, and uh, my ex asked him, I found out that my husband is related to you. And he said to her basically, well, yes, that would make sense. Ferniers and Fourniers have always been, uh, you know, family. They've done things differently. Some of us moved to the early form of the United States early. Some of us waited till later. He says it makes total sense. And she was so surprised because she didn't think I'd be related to a rocker, and I was, and I am. So, which is
Wow,
great. Yeah, and
that's amazing.
yeah, and just to throw in this too, my wife is related, definitely by blood, to Daniel Craig, who finished his stint as James Bond. My wife's last name was Suzanne Craig, before she married me. So
So have you've
Cool.
traced your
that's
genealogy
what it is.
extensively, or did you just make those connections out of what you know?
I extensively did research. I know for certain on uh, on Alice, and as far as and I told Dad, and Dad said, "Well, it makes sense." He agreed with me, and we went over it, and he said, "Yeah, that makes sense. He would be. He'd be considered like a second cousin on my father's side, but still blood related, because we all have different families, different clans, from France. Ferniers are one, Fourniers are another. Uh, but yeah, we've intermingled before. Um, as for Suzanne, it's absolutely true. Her father's side is where Daniel Craig would come from, and he is basically a blood cousin. So a blood first cousin of my wife, but we haven't met him yet. So
So I one thing I know, I haven't. I want to research my genealogy because there's definitely got to be a lot there.
oh
And my
sure,
last name is a there's a large city, and there's a city in on Italy proper, and there's a secondary city in Sicily as well, that bears my last name. And when you research it, Lentini, Lentini. One of the first things you'll find is there's a famous circus freak who was in the sideshows for many years and has a trading card and all that good stuff. He's passed away now, and my aunt got to meet him. His name was Frank Lentini, and he was the man with the third leg, and he had an actual, uh, you know, full formed third leg on his
wow.
tailbone that he could sit on like a stool. And I just thought
But
that was
that
so fascinating, and they were convinced that there was some relation there because he bears very similar features to my grandfather.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's quite fascinating. Well, the way that we also found out that Suzanne is related to Daniel is by the chin. There was a distinctive chin that Suzanne's uh, father, his name was John, had that distinctive chin. And if you look at Daniel Craig as James Bond, he has this very distinctive chin, feature of his face, and it matches exactly what my wife has, the same chin. so, so I know they're related. Plus, we also found out Suzanne's clan, the Craigton clan, actually served alongside William Wallace when they were fighting the English in Scotland. So, if you watch Braveheart, that's one of her relatives of the Craigs that's represented.
Oh yeah, yeah. My grandmother was McQuaig,
Oh
so
wow, cool. Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
close.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, eventually, and like if you watch Braveheart, I know that they were initially afraid of upsetting Edward Longshanks, is like what was the king's name? They were afraid of a warring against him or going up against him because then they would have lost their lands. They were nobles, and so that part is true. That's what my wife's clan went through, and eventually they wanted to get independence for Scotland. So after William Wallace passed away by death by what do they call it? Uh, Dismemberment. That's it. Death by dismemberment is how they did it. So then the Craigs then decided to join up with Robert the Bruce, and well, you know how they did. They did well with that, and got England out at least for another couple hundred years. So that was nice. So I really enjoy learning about that from my wife. It's just we
Yeah,
both can say we had lots of relatives that served in war. My relatives served in war. One of them actually ended up becoming a pope around the 12th and 13th century. His name was Benedict XII, but he was based in Avignon, France, because they wanted to because Richard the First, he was a church figure over in Rome, wanted to excommunicate my relative. His name was Jacques Fournier. That was his real name, and so he was against. Basically, he was against nepotism in church affairs, and there was just a lot of things going on, and so he served his papacy from Avignon, France, while Richard, the fake pope, was over there in Rome.
You know, I was just kind of thinking about relatives and connections and stuff. Um,
Yes,
I do remember my grandmother on my mom's side. It was saying that she has a cousin. Her name is Patsy Cline, but her maiden name is Betsy. What do you call it? Petty Klein, but it's White. Her
right.
maiden name is White, and it just happened to be by marriage. And I was like, that was so cool.
Yeah, that's absolutely cool. Patsy Cline was such a great country music artist.
Yeah,
In
and
fact, one of my sisters, Elizabeth, I have two sisters, Bernadette and Elizabeth, and Bernadette's the one that lives with her husband and her son over in the Long Beach area. It's called Seal Beach, is where they are. Excuse me. And my sister actually knew the guy uh, that passed away, Chester Bennington. She actually knew him. Saw him like walk the streets, and the sidewalks and stuff, walking the dog and everything. So she actually knew him, before he
nice.
passed away. Yeah. So I mean that's cool. And I was like, yeah, it's just a shame that he passed, and then Chris Cornell passed, after him. So very very tragic musicians lost there.
Yeah, I was just also know one thing. I don't know much about my grandfather, but I do know he was in the military in the World War II, and he was in the Navy,
Yeah.
the Air Force. I mean the Air Force. The
Okay.
reason why I found out all about this because when my grandmother recently passed away, I was notified and trying to figure out where my father because they can't find him in the military or the in the service, and I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about him until I did some research and like wow, I saw this tombstone and everything, and then my grandmother, my other grandmother. saying that I have a great, I can't even think, two great grandfather that is a Cherokee chief that's a cemetery out in Oklahoma.
Oh wow.
And these are just stories telling. I don't have like facts to back anything up, except for I've seen photos, but photos could be anything.
Oh, of
Yeah, both of
course.
my grandfathers served in Korea, one in the Navy and the other was a Marine. And oddly enough, neither of them, I'm told by my family, would ever speak about it afterwards. They just never ever talked about it.
Yeah,
But
my
yeah,
grandfather died before I think anybody even knew. When my father was a kid, so it's kind of was buried.
Did they say what the reason was?
Um,
Why
I
they wouldn't say anything?
I think on my father's side, he just said that it was so horrible that he just didn't want to remember it, just wanted to forget it, and he ended up drinking himself to death. So
sad.
Uh, yeah, that's very sad. I remember I remember my mother telling me uh, she went through two fathers. Her biological father died when she was 3. He had come over with my mom's mom. The two of them had come over. Well, he had come over first, and then met in America. Met my mom's mom, Charlotte. He came over from Germany. He was in the German Merchant Marine, and this was just before World War II. Um, and he would have been recruited by Hitler's Nazi regime for the Merchant Marine. He might have done some other stuff, but he decided to get out when the getting was good. So he left before he could be recruited. He managed to get out, and like I said, then he wasn't doing well physically when he moved to America. And like I said, my mother lost him when she was 3 years old. So then she ended up having a stepdad. His name was John Buchan. He was Scottish, 100%, which is what Suzanne is. She's Scottish, of course. And he came from Clan Buchan. So he came into Charlotte's, my mom's life, Charlotte's life. And that's who she was raised by the rest of her life, was by John, her stepdad. But my mom still did okay, you know. She just didn't want to tell us, you know, until she married my dad, and then and then of course she didn't want to tell us kids, and until we were old enough. So I guess when I was like 7 or 8 years old, that's when my mother told me about um, her change of dads that happened. And then of course it was my dad. It was actually my dad who uh, said that I know we're related to the papacy of Rome, but I don't remember who it was, and that's why I had to go look it up and do some research, and found out it was Jacques Fournier, or also known as Benedict XII, and it was during a time they called the Great Schism, which was an argument between Rome and France. So I'm pretty proud that I'm distantly related to a pope in some way or other. And my mother wanted me to be a priest, but that didn't quite happen. So, but
right.
it's not meant to happen sometimes. I don't regret it. I mean, I was an altar boy when I was growing up. They call them altar servers now because they have boys and girls both. That do it. For the
Are
church.
you Catholic?
I am Catholic, yes,
Okay.
Roman Catholic. Yeah.
I went to some catechism when I was younger, but it never sunk in. But yeah, I'm told that my family was Catholic, but we never went to mass or anything like that. So, well, a
Yeah.
couple of times, but only a couple of times.
Right. Well, my parents, when they met each other, my mother actually was Protestant, German Protestant, and my dad was, French Roman Catholic. So when they got together, uh, it was like it was like it was made in heaven. In fact, they just had their 2 days ago. They had their 59th wedding anniversary. So it was definitely meant to be. And they also are Carmelite ministers. So that's why when pop culture was in here earlier, I told him that my parents are praying for him, as well as the prayer group at the church they attend, St. Bernard of Clairvaux, which is also French and is also just related to our family. So it all worked out. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, it is 1 a.m. my time, and I have a short time to get to sleep here. Um,
Ooh. I hope I didn't
so
keep you up too late, my friend.
yeah. Unfortunately, I have to be a good boy, and but I could leave you two to chat if you want. I just leave the stream running. I've got unlimited hours, so that is the perk of the upgraded plan with
I got to
Streamyard.
get back to work.
Okay, he's got to go to work.
Unless
I
you want
I
to trade
can
Any
places with
final
me.
words?
well I can stay up, but if you want me to run it, I can. And then
I just don't know if we have anybody else to come in here if Troy
well,
has to go.
if yeah, well, if they see me, you know what? I'll let it go for a few minutes, and then and then when I feel tired, I'll crash. See, there's somebody came in.
The sewing. Good to
Yeah, it
see
was
you,
so
buddy.
nice talking to you
Hey, God
guys.
was so.
Hey, good talking to you, Troy. I'm sure we'll catch up soon.
Definitely.
All right.
And
Much
be
love, my
And
safe
good
friend.
to
out
Yeah,
meet
there.
you. Yeah, good to meet you, Troy. And thanks again, Kevin. Appreciate it.
It was nice to meet you too. Have a good night, you guys. Be safe.
You too,
you
sir.
too, brother.
Take care of yourself. Be safe.
All right. On that note, we'll do the. Wait, is it going to do it? All right.
Good morning, Godless Sewing.